I never thought I would stand outside my own son's house pretending to be someone else. Not as a mother, not as family, not as someone who belonged there, just a tired woman in a worn coat with a small bag and the quiet posture of someone who had nothing left to lose. The idea didn't come from anger, revenge, or bitterness. It came from a much quieter place. Loneliness, not the dramatic kind, not the tragic kind, the slow kind, the kind that grows when people stop noticing you, when conversations stop including you, when your presence becomes optional instead of expected. After my son got married, things changed in ways that were hard to explain but easy to feel. There were no fights, no shouting, no open conflicts, just distance. Decisions started happening without me. Plans happened without me. Visits became shorter. Calls became formal. Messages became polite. And slowly, without anyone ever saying it out loud, I stopped feeling like a mother and started feeling like an obligation. The hardest part wasn't my son. It was her, my daughter-in-law. Not because she was cruel, not because she insulted me, not because she disrespected me openly, but because she was closed, careful, controlled, distant, not warm and not cold, just neutral. And neutrality when you are family can hurt more than hatred. I convinced myself she didn't like me, that she tolerated me, that she pushed me out quietly, and over time, resentment grew. Not loud resentment, silent resentment, the kind you don't talk about, the kind you carry inside and pretend isn't there. One night I sat alone in my apartment after another unanswered call from my son, another unread message, another evening with no plans, no voice, no presence, and I found myself thinking something that scared me. If I had nothing, would anyone help me? Not because they knew me, not because I was family, not because of obligation, just because I was human. That question stayed with me, not as an idea, as a weight. Days passed, weeks passed, and it didn't leave my mind. It followed me into sleep, into silence, into my mornings, into my routines. And one afternoon I did something I still struggle to explain. I took off my jewelry, left my phone at home, put on old clothes I hadn't worn in years, a long coat with a ripped sleeve, worn shoes, messy hair, no makeup. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized who I was. Not because I looked poor, but because I looked invisible. I took a small bag, put some random clothes in it, and left my apartment. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from shame. I took a bus to my son's neighborhood. I didn't go straight to the house. I stood across the street and watched it. Lights on, curtains open, life inside, laughter, movement, warmth. That house used to feel like family. Now it felt like a place I needed permission to exist in. I crossed the street slowly, every step heavier than it should have been, my chest tight, my thoughts loud, my body quiet. I stood at the door and waited. I didn't know what I was hoping for. Recognition, rejection, silence, anger, something. I knocked softly. The door opened slightly, and it wasn't my son. It was her, my daughter-in-law. Her eyes moved over me, my clothes, my bag, my posture, not judging, not mocking, just observing, carefully. I lowered my eyes and said quietly, "I'm sorry to bother you. I haven't eaten today. I don't need money, just water, maybe a little food." My voice didn't even sound like mine. She didn't answer immediately. I prepared myself for the door to close, for rejection, for embarrassment, for humiliation. Instead, she opened the door wider and stepped aside and said, "Come in. It's cold outside." No questions, no suspicion, no interrogation, just space. I hesitated, then stepped inside. She closed the door and pointed to a chair in the hallway and said, "You can sit here. Not the couch, not the living room, but not outside either. A humane boundary. She brought me water, then food, simple warm food. She didn't stare at me while I ate, didn't ask questions, didn't demand a story, didn't turn me into a problem. She treated me like a person. My hands were shaking, not from hunger, from shame, confusion, and the quiet realization that the woman I had resented for years was the only one showing me kindness without knowing who I was. After a few minutes, she asked gently, "Do you have somewhere safe to sleep tonight?" I shook my head. She hesitated. Not fear, responsibility. The kind of hesitation people have when they want to help but don't want to be careless. Then she said, "You can stay on the couch tonight. Tomorrow, we'll figure something out." When my son came home, she met him quietly in the hallway and said she's homeless. I let her in. I gave her food. She's staying tonight. There was a pause, then his voice said, "You don't know her." And she replied calmly, "I know she's human." Silence followed, thick, heavy silence. Then he said, "Fine, tomorrow we deal with it." Not cruel, not kind, neutral, practical. And that hurt more than rejection would have. That night I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of their house, footsteps, quiet conversations, doors opening and closing, life happening without me. And for the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about roles, titles, respect, or hierarchy. I was thinking about something simpler, human decency. In the morning, she brought me tea, sat across from me, and asked, "Can I ask your name?" And something inside me collapsed quietly. I said my name. Her face changed slowly. Recognition, shock, understanding. "You're his mother." My son came in and froze. Everything stopped. The air felt heavy. The room felt smaller. I stood up slowly and said, "I didn't come to trap you. I didn't come to embarrass you. I didn't come to expose anyone. I just wanted to know who would open the door if I had nothing." Heavy silence. I told them the truth about feeling invisible, about being pushed out slowly, about becoming history instead of presence, about wanting to know if kindness existed without identity. My son looked down, not angry, shamed, not because of the test, but because of what it revealed. She started crying, not from anger, but from hurt, because she had done the right thing and been pulled into something she never agreed to. I said, "I'm sorry you didn't deserve this." She wiped her tears and said, "I didn't help you because you were family. I helped you because you were human." That sentence stayed with me, not as comfort, as truth. I left that house that morning not in victory, not in revenge, not in satisfaction, but in clarity. The woman I thought was my enemy was the only one who treated me with dignity when I had no identity. My son didn't fail because he was cruel. He failed because he had grown comfortable with distance, silence, emotional absence. Things didn't magically change after that. There was no perfect healing, no dramatic reconciliation, no instant closeness. But something shifted. With her, the relationship became human, real, careful, honest. With my son, it became slower, more aware, more intentional, because love isn't proven by titles and respect isn't proven by roles. Sometimes the people we judge the most are the ones who show us the most humanity when we have nothing to offer them. And sometimes the most painful truth is this: the door that opens for strangers doesn't always open for family, but it should. And sometimes it takes losing your identity to understand what truly makes you visible.